Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We're back.
We are back. It feels good.
It does feel good. Obviously, there have been no cars to review for a while for obvious reasons. But we've got a car.
We do. A really cool one.
Yep.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, a very exciting car. One of the hottest new cars of 2021. What do we got?
The Kia Seltos SX with the 1.6 liter turbo.
And all-wheel drive.
And all-wheel drive.
Yep.
It's got everything.
Everything. Well, not quite everything, but we'll get to that in the review.
Fair enough.
Yep, but it's a well-equipped car.
Yeah, and so this is the small crossover segment. You probably already noticed, no, Casey and I did not gain 50 pounds each on quarantine. Maybe close to it.
50 pounds total.
Yeah, 50 pounds total. It looks like we're a little close together. That's because this is a small SUV, small crossover.
It's very small.
One of the most hotly contested segments in the auto industry. It used to be compact sedans, family sedans. Now it's all about crossovers.
Yep.
Everybody's got them. They usually have more than one.
More than one, and in fact, this is now more than one for Kia because they've already got the Sportage in this segment. You've got the Sportage, Toyota CHR, Honda HR-V, Mazda CX-30, so on and so forth. And so why, when Kia's already got the Sportage to compete in that segment, and the Soul, why did they build a third one to compete in this size?
Yeah, well, because you guys can't get enough of these things. So what we're gonna try to do is figure out, did Kia produce something in the Seltos that stands out and is worth your money, and try to figure out exactly who's buying this. All next, Family First Reviews.
Awkward wave.
Awkward wave. Okay, Casey, you've had the car most of the week. I'm just now getting familiar with it this morning. If there was one thing you pick out that really sets this car apart, what do you think it would be?
This car is how much fun it is to drive. So number one is the handling. Surprisingly good, fun, tight. I really like it. But even more so in this model is that 1.6 liter turbo.
Yeah, with a dual clutch transmission, right?
Yep.
So very different than the one we previewed a couple of months ago, which was a naturally aspirated 2 liter 4-cylinder engine with a CVT. A little sluggish, but also right on par with what's going on in the industry.
Yep.
This is special. This is different. Tell me why you think it's so good.
The programming is much better in this version. So this is more or less the same powertrain that we had in that Kia Soul GT Turbo.
That's right.
Which we did like a lot.
Yes.
But it was programmed with the engine and transmission and everything a little more aggressively. I like this one. It is much smoother when you want it to be, but also very sporty when you get on it.
Yeah, and I think the chassis, suspension, everything in this is a little more refined than in the Soul. The Soul, you could tell, older platform, a little more raw, just, you know, kind of more towards that younger crowd. Man, this has got a really nice balance to it, and I am feeling that. I'm feeling good response, good handling coming around corners. You said you thought this all-wheel drive system might even be a little rear-wheel drive bias going around some of the corners. Going around the corners
when you're in sport mode, yeah. When I get on it coming out of a corner, I almost feel a little bit of that rear-wheel drive squat, rear-wheel drive bias that I'm used to in those kinds of cars. Really surprised me, but I like it a lot.
I do too. Good job, Kia. Like Casey said, we'd love to see this kind of approach in some of the other models. We're really enjoying it so far. The one thing I've noticed is that just like in the Telluride, driving around town, the programming can still be on the soft side, but all I gotta do is reach down with one knob, click, I'm in sport mode, and it really just kind of, man, now I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the throttle response. It's immediate, but it doesn't hang too much either, like some sport modes do, where it gets too loud and too many revs. It's just right.
And like I said, that was kind of my gripe with the programming in the Soul. It did hang too much, and it was a little rougher on those sporty downshifts. You don't have that in here. And not to mention the sport mode, they've also got something called smart mode.
They do.
Which is not, you would think that's like eco mode, but it's not. It senses you're driving and changes the mode automatically while you're going. So as soon as you get on the gas, it switches to sport mode. When you ease up, it might go back to normal or econ.
Yeah.
It works pretty well.
All right, so jumping to the inside and what it's like to actually exist in this car, I'm really comfortable this morning. These seats are very supportive. I'm 5'9". I was able to get the steering wheel in a really nice position. Everything I need is kind of in the right place, and the materials are pretty good for the segment. And really, Kia keeps it interesting. So I'm kind of curious, for you, being a little over 6 feet tall, were you able to kind of get where you wanted to be?
Absolutely. There's a lot of adjustment in that seat, way more than you normally get at this price point.
I fully agree.
Yeah, and so yes, I was absolutely able to get in an ideal position for me. Over on this side, where it's a manual seat and there's a little less adjustment, less so, but
again, yeah, that's kind of typical for the segment. I've got a nice lumbar over here. I can kind of get the height, the pitch, everything I need to get right where I want to be.
Yeah. All right, so I like the handling. You've pointed out it's a pretty nice place to be on the inside, but I think if we want to talk about what differentiates it in the segment, and more specifically from the other Kia models, we've got to do a walk around, because I think most of that is on the outside of the car.
Yeah, it's all about styling in this segment and appealing to young buyers and giving them the right impression of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, but first things first, I got to throw this thing in sport mode and take it down the ring.
All right, let's go.
All right, here we are, the NurBurbRing. Throw this thing over into sport, and all that punchiness, yeah, there it is. It's right there. Man, that is compliant.
It is compliant. What do you think of those brakes?
The brakes are great. Mm-hmm. They're not just good, they're great. This is really, really impressive. I mean, that's some rough stuff right there. Get back on the gas, it picks right up. I feel like I'm riding on rails on the sides, like going around these corners. And look, folks, that is not normal. Like, it's probably been since maybe like a Subaru wagon, something like that, that I've felt this kind of plantedness from this type of vehicle. Nicely weighted steering. We've mentioned this before, Kia gets steering right. I don't know how they do it and everybody else misses it. This is cool. This is one of our favorite S corners. Stay on it. I know exactly what this car is doing.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway this week, driving it around a lot, is just in any kind of driving, I have so much confidence. It's a really great handling car.
This is really wild. Like, this thing could handle another 50 horsepower and feel great, feel right at home. And that's not a knock on the engine at all. I'm just saying the chassis could take more power and handle it. That's really cool. Well done, Kia. Well freaking done. All right, guys, while Casey figures out if he's gonna wear his sunglasses or not. Can we just talk about this color for a second? This is Star Bright Yellow, right? Star Bright Yellow. This is the launch color.
With the black roof, $350 option.
It looks so good. And here's the weird thing about these colors, right? This is the launch color from Kia. And you can tell they picked it because it really shows off everything going on with the car. You guys are gonna love the way this looks, and then you're gonna go out and you're gonna go buy a blue one or a gray one or a white one that doesn't look nearly as good, but you know, this looks amazing. You really should consider it. Let's take a little walk around the car and show people everything about it. All right, Casey, color aside, there are so many little details on this car that we got to point out, and let's start up front. What do you like?
I love just the general character lines and cutouts they've got in the hood. It looks really great. And I love the Tiger Nose grille on here because of the satin aluminum trim with this actual texture molded into it. That is not painted on.
Yeah, that's real. That's got a real feel to it. It's nice, really cool.
It looks great. So do the LED lights. I love the way they're integrated into the bumper. And speaking of the bumper, when you look down here, there's a lot of sloping angle to this bumper. And
a good approach angle.
Yep. So when you consider you've got that and the all-wheel drive with the center locking diff, you can tell Kia's really going after kind of the more adventure crowd with this. It's a little bit more off-road capable than just your standard Sportage.
Yeah, definitely the adventure-minded. Folks want to feel like they can get out and take this places. A couple of things that I really like. I love the wheels on this car. I love that little red offset around the hub. That's really cool. You know, you kind of repeat that tiger nose grille and the trim elements as we walk to the back. And then there's some really cool stuff here in the back as well.
Yep, and I love this little satin aluminum belt line that they've got going into the window.
Yeah, when you couple that with something we saw when we did the preview on the cross rails, you got this little notched piece as well. This whole little treatment back here is really sporty, really cool.
I dig it.
Okay, so we agree it looks really good and it drives really well, but we got to do car seats. We got to check out what it's like back there for the kids, and then come back and do pricing and a final wrap up, final thoughts. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys, so car seats and storage, not really the core competency of the small SUV segment, but we do want to show you that a rear-facing Graco extended fit does fit. We took the kids to school and back a couple of times this week. It can be done if it's like your second car or something. Not a great family car. The child carrier is a tight squeeze and is actually uncomfortable for me to sit in front of. And I wanted to point out this also. There's a little slot here in the door for you to store this seat belt. And that's mainly to keep it out of the way when you're folding the seats up and down. But I also found it to be nice loading a kid in and out, because sometimes they get hung up on this stuff, and that just kind of makes it easier to keep it tucked away. I like that.
Okay, Kia's kind of on a roll here. We're liking the Seltos a lot, but it all comes down to price, right? So where does this thing start?
Starts just a hair under 22.
Okay, for the base model.
For the base model. As we're driving it right now, all the way just a hair over 29.
29, and so that's for the SX with the turbocharged engine and the all-wheel drive system, and a lot of bells and whistles, especially for the segment. So that's pretty good. That is a lot of value for the money, and I think that begs the question, obviously, should it be on the shopping list? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. If you're shopping in this segment, you've got to check this one out.
Man, it's got to be near the top of the list, to be honest. Like, I've been grinning all day. I'm actually really pissed that you... Can we say pissed?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. This is a family channel.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of value at every price point. I think they're going to sell a lot of the base models to people sending their teenager off to school. You're going to get a lot of kind of young adults buying their first car, buying these in a little bit higher trim models.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get some cross-shopping from people you don't expect. Maybe even a GTI buyer looking for something kind of sporty, but with a little bit more size.
Yeah, a little bit more grown up, a little bit more capability, right?
Yep. And to that point, maybe even like a Subaru Crosstrek buyer who's looking for this all-wheel drive setup.
You know, look, I think when I came into this review, I thought that might have been kind of the upper aspirations for this. I think this car is good enough all the way around that folks even in that next tier up ought to consider it. I think it's just a lot of car for the money, good performance, and even if you're looking at maybe like a mid-size or even full-size SUV, but you're kind of on the edge, you ought to look at the Seltos. It's that good. Okay, guys, I think that does it. The 2021 Kia Seltos is a winner in our book, and thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, check out our social media pages. We'd really love the support, and we'll see you next time.
Onward wave.
Epilogue. This thing is freaking good.
Yeah. Brian just can't let it go, guys.
Can't let it go.
He can't let it go. He's way too into this car.
It does things that a car this size at this price point should not do.
No, you're absolutely right. You do expect in this price. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh.
No.
What?
It's just good.
It's just good.
It's just that good.
Okay. That was it. That's all you want for the epilogue?
Yeah.
Okay.
GoPro, stop recording.